Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Diane Deziel, and today I thought it would be a good thing to show you how to do some collars since we did quite a few bodice. So I'm going to give you the information about all the type of collar, and I'll show you how to do the pattern to do the easiest one, so the stand or straight collar. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the different type of collar that I group in three categories. First, there's the straight collar. They're straight and they go up straight onto your neck. So they're sewn at the neckline and they go up only. So you have the stand collar, you have the Chinese collar, mandarin collar. They're all done with the same technique and they all go up only. You have a second category that I call the shirt collar. They could be rounded or pointy or square, but they all do the same thing. They go from the neckline, they go up until the shoulder, and from the shoulder they come back down pretty much flat in the front. So these are the shirt collar, and you have the third category that are the flat collar. So you could see here a Peter Pan collar, but that's just the shape in the front. They're not completely flat on the garment. They should be rolling just a little bit to hide the seam of the neck. This is the basic flat collar that we usually see. Between the flat collar and the shirt collar, there is also another category that we call this half roll collar or semi-roll collar, and they could come from the flat collar or from the shirt collar. Let me show you first from the flat collar. I did two more, closing a little bit the bottom of the collar or the outside of the collar. So if you do close a little more the edge, your collar is going to be more like the shirt collar. So you have two semi-roll collar there, and if you take the shirt collar, here's a shirt collar with the round edge here. I did two more and I did the opposite here. What I did is I opened the outside of the collar. I opened it so it did curve my neckline pretty much like my flat collar. So if I put them one over the other, or one over the other like this, you could see that there's a lot of possibility between the shirt collar all the way to the flat collar. So they're all good. They're just going to look and fall a little bit different for sure, because some of them are going to roll for longer, some other are going to stay more flat, and of course it's going to change the width, because for this example, I did exactly the same collar, developed different ways, but when you're talking about the shirt collar, it will roll, so it's going to get much narrower in the back compared to the completely flat one that's going to remain pretty much like that. Now let's start the pattern of that easiest collar, that is the band collar. It's also called a stand collar, a Chinese collar, mandarin collar, all done with the same technique. So to do your collar, you're going to need, of course, the neck measurement. And for this example, I'm going to use the shirt block pattern that I did last time in my last video. And you're going to measure the inside line, so the seam line, from center back all the way to the shoulder notch. So it's right there for me. Write down the measurement and then overlap your seam line for the front and measure from the shoulder to the center front point. Write down the measurement as well. If you're planning to do a stand collar or straight collar finishing before center front, make a notch where you want the collar to finish and measure only until that point. But for my example, I will do it all the way to center front. On a fold piece of paper, you're going to trace a straight line square with the fold. And on that line, you're going to start by putting your back neck measurement. This is giving you the shoulder notch area. Then from the shoulder, you're going to put your front neck measurement. Then from the front neck point, you're going to do a little shift to your line, curving it up, because if you do keep it straight, when you sew your collar, it's going to stay like that and it's going to stay open. If you want it to go closer to the neck, you have to modify the line and curve it up. That's going to also close the top part of the collar, so it's going to go closer and stay closer to your neck. So that's what we'll do. So we're going to go up on that line about 1 centimeter. Then we'll retrace the front part with that shift line. You could place your ruler at the 1 centimeter up and the other side touching pretty much the half distance from shoulder to center front. Trace, but not all the way to the line. Then move your ruler slightly until you touch your straight line. This is going to be your neckline. Now we do need the width of the collar. So on top of that line, you're going to put your width of the collar that you wish. For closed shirt, for closed collar, close to the neck, I think the maximum is about 4 centimeters, so that's what I will do, but it could be really narrow. Parallel until the shoulder, and then move your ruler to go parallel to your new front line. Then the important point now is to close the collar at the front. You have to place your ruler 90 degrees from the last line that we did at the neck, so the one that you move up. So 90 degrees from that line and square up. Basically, your collar is completed. We're now going to add the seam allowance and cut it all around. The first collar is complete. Now about this style, this one is a completely straight collar, but if you wish to curve it before putting your seam allowance, you could just curve the front part, center front part, and put your seam allowance according to that new style. Now I would like to show you a variation of this collar. For example, if you want your collar to overlap just like your shirt does. We will do again the exact same recipe. So from center back, straight line, and then put your back neck measurement, your front neck measurement, go up 1 centimeter, retrace the neck, and then the width of the collar. And now the little difference for this variation is that instead of tracing the line square from center front, you're going to go back on your garment that you're doing the collar for, and you're going to measure the overlap from center front. If I fold my pattern here, after the inside is done, the overlap is this measurement here. So on my pattern, my overlap was 1 centimeter. So I'm going to trace a line 1 centimeter further, but always 90 degrees from the new neckline that you did. So you could complete your little line there. And again, we put the seam allowance. For this one, I will curve it. Very stretch curve like that are much easier for sewing, much easier than if you do just a little bit like that. These look like badly sewn corners sometimes. And you put your seam allowance. This would be the variation with the overlap. Now I'll show you the notch because there's a little difference in the notch also. They both have the double notch at the center back neckline point. So both of them at 0.5, and they also both have the single notch, so half notch on a fold paper at the center back top part. Both of my collar, they have the shoulder notch, but only the one with the overlap has the center front notch. The other one you don't need because it's just the seam line. So I'd like to show you a third variation when your bodice that you're doing has the opening on the back. So you start with an unfold paper, and the construction is pretty much the same. Let's say this is my center back. I'm going to trace a line for the neck, place my back neck measurement and my front neck measurement. Just like the other one, we're going to go up 1 centimeter and correct the line. Then you could already put the width of your collar. And now at this point, you're going to trace your center front 90 degrees from the new neckline. And here's the little difference. It's at this point that you're going to fold your paper. And now you could add your seam allowance and cut all around. For this variation, you still have the shoulder notch for sure, and you're going to put a half notch center front on both sides. Now we could look at the collar with the back opening. The grain line for all of these collar could be done both sides, so I like to have both indication on my pattern, and you decide depending if you have a striped fabric, you want them to go horizontal or vertical. And this is the only collar that inside and outside is exactly the same. So the pattern piece is cut too. There's no top and under because it doesn't roll. It just go up straight, so both exactly the same. That's it for today. I hope this video will be helpful, and make sure you watch my next video. I will show how to assemble it to your favorite shirt.